Hi, this is Jim Lyon, the host of the All That to Say podcast. Before you dive in today, be sure and subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you can catch all of our fearless conversations.
So Nat Turner was an enslaved man who, as a child, was taught to read. And that was his first weapon toward injustice, whether he knew it or not. And in learning to read, because he was only allowed to read the Bible, he became completely consumed with the word.
And this is the early 19th century, early 1800s.
This was in the early 1800s. And so he was in a situation where now that he could read and he knew the Bible inside and out, and I think it's a great footnote to recognize that all the answers to all of our problems
you can dig those out there. Yep.
Yeah, right. So for that to be the only thing you can read, to be denied that right of education, it was a perfect storm in creating a revolutionary. I think it's no mistake that, the laws that existed to oppress people during that time were predicated on keeping them away from the intelligence, from the academia that could allow them to think a certain way. Carter G. Woodson has a quote that says, when you can control a person's actions, control a person's mind, you don't have to worry about their actions. You don't have to tell them to go to back door. They'll go on their own. And if there is no back door, they'll cut one out for their pleasure. That's Carter G. Woodson. It's one of the most impactful. And so when you think about, slavery, and people are like, why didn't they fight? Why didn't they run? The reality is when your mind is under control. And so that was the first key he had to unlock his potential and to gain the type of fellowship with Christ that would allow him to make decisions in the spirit, right? Like that to me was like, and to play that character, as method goes, you have to become very close to what it means to be a pastor who is consumed with the word. So I had to become consumed with the word. And it's the closest I've ever been to God in my life by a mile. And I just remember writing and crying and crying and writing and praying that somehow I could create something that would be like a North Star for people who were oppressed, for people who had been denied their personhood, denied the true representation of Christ in their faith, and inspire revolutionary spirit. Nat Turner prayed for a sign from Christ and got a solar eclipse. Like that was a miracle, if you believe in such things, and I do. Yeah. He prayed, give me a sign, Lord, because what I'm gonna have to do right now, I know how it's gonna end. Is this what you want me to do? Solar eclipse, so I wouldn't have, and I say it often, I wouldn't have been interested in writing a story about a revenge fantasy. It was important that injustice lived at every corner and every moment that was pervasive within the air he breathed. And not that he was just wanted the revenge, but he said, if Christ is who he says he is, and this spirit that I'm feeling is true, then I have to act. And I think that that's a message for me, in the way that I've chosen every project, especially since then. And I think it can be made applicable to everything. So in making this story, it was very much a spiritual journey for me in more ways than I can explain. And more than a movie, I just wanted to create something, as I said during the time, that would inspire people to have a riotous disposition. Those, biblically speaking, the people that rolled with Christ, they were unshakable and they were about action. They didn't stay in one place every Sunday and talk to each other. They went to the places in which there was danger. And then when our Lord was crucified, they continued the work in prison to their death. When you read the book of Revelation, there are people literally beneath the throne crying out, like, how long, Lord? Like that is the type of, Christ-led revolutionary that I want to be in my work. And I strive to be like in real life. And again, I always preface that by saying, in no way am I perfect. I'm a flawed man every day. I mean, what time is it? You know what I mean? But that was my approach, that if nothing else, people left saying this was a man that gave his life and everything he was to Christ and sacrificed everything on behalf of what he truly believed his purpose and his destiny was, and gladly walked to Christ.